To call the meeting to order.
We'll call the meeting to order at 3:04. Welcome, everybody. We have a quorum and we're waiting one more who will join us shortly. Would everybody like to introduce themselves? We have a guest who would like to know who we all are.
Sure.
So Jessica, do you want to start?
Hello, welcome. It's great to have a guest, so thank you very much for coming. My name is Jessica Kramer. I am appointed by Jim Desmond, and I live up in North County. I have lived experience of multiple disabilities through a condition called recurrent meningitis. I have my seizure and trauma service dog with me. His name is Lucius, and I am truly honored to be part of this committee where we get to, in my case, I get to use my life experiences to make a difference.
Welcome. I'm Alice Jacobson. I think I'm on a District 3, but I always get confused by that. I'm basically sort of a new member of this committee. I think this is my third meeting, maybe fourth, I'm not positive. So come join us. Thank you.
Good afternoon, I am Kate Turpin. I am the district appointee for District 2, which is Supervisor Jill Anderson, and I represent the substance use disorder community with my lived experience.
And I'm Jeanette Shelton. I'm the vice chair. I am representing District 3, Terra West and Lima, and we're delighted to have you with us.
And then we do have on the call, we have some guests as well, and the chair. Would Chair Krug, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, Michelle Krug, the chair. I had a situation that came up late last night that I needed to be out of San Diego this morning. And so I'm representing District 4, initially appointed by Nathan Fletcher, with the new supervisor coming on as of December 5th, Monica Montgomery Stepp, and I am blind and also use a mobility device, and have been involved in disability advocacy for many years, as well as others. I see the intersectionality of our issues as not just being, one thing, and disabilities, but also being all the other things that affect all of us and the quality of life. Thanks.
Thank you. And then we also have some guests that are, or actually there's some guests that are applicants for the committee, but we'll go through each of the guests that's on the call and just have them introduce yourself and what you are seeking to do in today's call or in today's meeting. We see someone, we see someone that's GSOTO.
Hi guys, I'm Gloria Sotomesa. I'm a captain with the San Diego Sheriff's Department. I'm the ADA coordinator for the department.
Wonderful, great to meet you.
Thank you. Great to meet you guys.
And then we see Kay Wilson.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Kimberly Wilson. I'm corporal with the San Diego County Sheriff's Department ADA unit.
Thank you. And Paola.
I don't know if my mic is working.
Yes,
Hi, my name is Paola. I don't have a camera right now, but I'm also a corporal here with the ADA unit as well.
Thank you. And then Lieutenant Cole. Livian Cole, are you there? Okay,
Hi, Todd. Lieutenant Cole with the San Diego Sheriff's Department. Nice to meet you guys and see you guys.
wonderful to see you. And then we have Susan Madison, who is one of the applicants for the Committee for Persons with Disabilities.
Hi, everyone. I live in Rancho Bernardo area. I have had a physical disability since the age of 6, been involved in public policy and disability rights issues for years and years and years. I'm retired now. My last position was as the ADA director for the city of San Diego, and currently volunteer with Red Cross Disability Integration. I'm the co-chair on that team, and I'm looking forward to sitting in. I was on a meeting several months ago, and looking forward to hear everyone and see faces today. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe, oh, Elaine there, Elaine Pitt is staff.
Thanks, Todd. Hi, yes, Elaine Pitt with the Department of Human Resources in the Benefits Division and here to support the committee.
And then we have myself, Todd Hood. I am the staff liaison for the Committee for Persons with Disabilities. And then we have Katie McKnight. Oh, just you can use the mic here.
Hi, I am Katie McKnight. I am also Department of Human Resources here to support the committee.
And then we also have a guest here in the room is Bill, is it Volkman? Yes, okay.
Hi, my name is Bill Volkman. I have cerebral palsy. I work with the Hand Athlete Foundation for about a year now. I moved last year by myself from New Jersey all the way from San Diego when I was a little kid in New Jersey. They wouldn't let school disabilities in public school. So my parents used the concept, and I got into public school. Wow. And my mom told me that not only for me, for my friends back in the other school and people with other disabilities. So I've been an advocate. I like to say before I even knew what the word advocate was.
Right.
So that's why I'm here.
Fabulous. Thank you, Bill. Oh, I'm sorry, and I missed Dane. I don't take you for granted, Sergeant Wiesner.
Hey, hello. I'm Sergeant Dane Wiesner, Sergeant of the ADA unit with the Sheriff's Department. Hello to you and the committee and everybody out there.
Hello.
Thank you all. Thank you for for dialing in.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
Let's see, is there anyone else that I missed? I think I got everyone.
Real quick, I wasn't able to write down the commander's name. Would you mind resharing that with me? Or the commander, maybe she would say her name again.
Livian Cole, Lieutenant.
No, the commander.
Gloria.
It's Captain Gloria Soto Mesa.
Captain. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you for the commander. I'll take it.
Okay. Then we do have a request to participate remotely.
Do we need a motion for that?
It depends on what what the basis of the request is, if it's just cause or emergency circumstances.
So Katie was gonna read the 4 reasons for just cause. Because I thought one of them was work.
Michelle, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, for a just cause, first option is childcare or caregiving need of a child, parent, grandparent, grandchild, sibling, spouse, or domestic partner. Second reason is contagious illness that prevents member from attending in person. Third reason is a need related to a physical or mental disability. Fourth is travel on official business of the legislative body or another state or local agency.
Okay, so I am gonna do it as just cause. And it's on behalf of the my position as a regional director with the California Democratic Party.
So does that fall under legislative business?
It does. It's actually in the election code.
Do we need a motion then, or?
Yes, for just cause, it does take a vote.
I move that we approve just cause for member Michelle Krug and her business for her legislative affairs.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded and voted on. So then we can, Michelle, do you have, well, we can, we'll go ahead and have, would you like to chair, or would you like to have vice chair the rest of the meeting?
And I'm fine with Jeanette, but I think that we left Katie out of the introductions.
She did her introduction. It may not, the audio may not have picked up.
Okay.
So the
yeah,
next
Jeanette,
item is the October meeting minute vote. Jeanette, she said she's okay with you.
Has everybody had a chance to read the October minutes? And do I have a motion to approve them?
Also move to approve October meeting minutes.
Is your microphone on?
Oh, so sorry. I will move to approve October meeting minutes, October 2023.
And second, Kate Turpin.
Shall we have a vote? Is there any discussion? Shall we have a vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes approved as read. She can vote.
Did she vote?
Michelle, did you vote?
yeah, I said yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And we have non-agenda comments. Alice?
Yes, thank you very much. I would like some discussion or some conclusion to be brought to this issue of how we vote. According to Robert's Rules of Order, you don't just call for those who are opposed and figure everybody else is in favor if they haven't said they're opposed. That is not considered a vote. I mean, in some ways, you could say any vote you all have taken that way might not be considered that you've really voted. This is, I'm sorry, I did not bring the copy of Robert's Rules of Order with me. I didn't get to go home today before I came here. But I read through it, and I've never in all my committee and chairing and vice chairing and committee participations and so forth, the planning commission, we've never voted any way other than you call for the vote, those in favor, those opposed. And I would like to see us handle our voting that way from today, as we've started to handle it, actually, I see. So, thank you.
Is there any, is there any discussion about that? Does this committee agree? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Todd, this is Michelle, and actually, my planning group, Paradise Hills Skyline, absolutely has done it that way. The San Diego and Imperial Counties Labor Council does it that way. So I don't think it's an issue of choice of the chair doing it. It's not an issue that Robert's rules specifically, and anyway, there's nothing that says that we're specifically bound to a voting measure in Robert's rules, but that's beside the point. This is a totally acceptable way. In fact, they even did it on the dais at the County Board of Supervisors, and I'm happy to pull up that meeting. So it is an uncommon, it's not an uncommon thing. It's not always done, obviously, but I don't see a reason to save time that if nobody is opposed to it, to whatever the motion is, that it has passed.
I'd like to call for a motion.
Go ahead.
Is that all right? I so move that we hold our voting based on Robert's Rules of Order. You have to ask for those for the motion, you ask for those who approve, you ask for those who are opposed. And I would like to see us vote that way, which is certainly the more common way of voting. Put it that way.
Is there a second?
Second. Any discussion? Jessica?
I certainly am not an expert in these matters, and I have held myself to the task of learning more. I did, after last month's meeting, go and do a Google search, a Yahoo search, to get any information I could. I think that without my being an expert, I did see arguments for both sides, and I would like to make a decision that's gonna help us do business faster, because I think we could benefit from improving the rate at which we do our business. So, you know, I will yield to the group if there's a majority that feels like we should do it one way or the other. And I would also like to suggest that perhaps each member could bring something to the next meeting in terms of reference material to show what validates their argument, and then maybe we could take a vote from there.
I have pulled them up, the Robert's Rules of Orders, on my computer screen. I do want to say that I attended the boards and commissions training last month, which was a fantastic presentation. And if you've missed it, I would highly recommend that you go online and watch it. But they did instruct all of the boards and commissions on that have been appointed to conduct business on behalf of the county to use the procedures spelled out in Robert's Rules of Order. And they even gave a brief synopsis of what those were. And so I feel that to avoid confusion, because we will be changing chairs shortly, and I understand that I was chair at one point, I have my preferred method and style, and Michelle has hers, which I respect. And I do feel for continuity and to stay in compliance with the county, we should probably just adopt the standard business of Robert's Rules.
I actually have to catch myself because we're in non-agenda comment, and we actually cannot act upon anything that was not on the agenda, so I have to pull myself back. But we can put that up to yes, to have that as an agenda item to discuss and to vote on.
So I think you have to withdraw your motion.
I withdraw my motion. I withdraw the motion. This will be open for discussion and a vote at the next meeting in December. This committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Other non-agenda comment.
Todd, I would like, if we're going to do that, then I would like to have the actual verbiage of Robert's rules given to the committee and the specific part that refers to this, and that it be read at the meeting before the vote.
I think we can do that.
Okay. All right. Other non-agenda comment. Then the next item is the letter to the Board of Supervisors for teleconferencing. Vice Chair. I can share
Yes.
that on the screen.
Yes,
Do you want me to read the letter into the record?
yes, I think that would be helpful.
Okay, let me pull it up. So, oh, it's on there. Okay, it'd be easier for me to read it from my computer. Oh, you do, thank you.
I love a binder.
This is just a draft that I wanted to send for input and revision. Dear group, and I tried to write it as a group. We are writing to you for help. As you know, many of us have disabilities that severely limit, restrict our ability to make in-person appearances monthly at the administrative building, as the Ralph M. Brown Act requires. This requirement limits the effectiveness of our committee work. Additionally, we believe that the in-person meeting requirement for quorum violates the American with Disabilities Act. Please see the headline from the San Francisco Chronicle. August 24th, 2023, Berkeley, California. 3 disabled members of the Berkeley Commission on Disabilities, Raina Fisher, Kathy Pugh, and Helen Walsh, have filed a lawsuit against the city of Berkeley for violating the Americans with Disability Act by failing to allow them to attend commission meetings remotely as an accommodation. We agree in the spirit of the Brown Act and that it's accurate, and we agree that the spirit of the Brown Act is accurate and that it was intended to prevent and or stop public business from being done in private. Unfortunately, it requires that teleconferencing locations be published and that those locations be accessible to the general public. If the state of California does not amend this restriction, we fear that similar legal action to the Berkeley lawsuit will occur statewide if this is not addressed immediately. It is not safe for your appointed disabled committee members to open our homes to the public. This requirement needs to be eliminated. We've been in contact with Caroline Smith. We should probably put her title in there, and she has been very helpful. Under her advisement and with her support, we are reaching out for your help. We are happy to meet with you to discuss our individual concerns in more depth. Should you need more information, thank you for your prompt attention to this matter.
Well done.
Okay, we should add Carolyn's name or title to the letter.
She's
Director, I believe, Director of Economic Development and Government Affairs.
Todd, would you be willing to scroll up a little more?
Is it possible for us to send the letter once we finalize it? And then get receipt that they actually received the letter. I'm in fear that if we send the letter to each commissioner, that it'll just get lost in the mail shuffle. Or should we send it directly to Caroline and have her submit it on our behalf? Okay, so we need to put some type of enclosure on there that we're doing this through Caroline in her capacity, in her official capacity.
Yeah.
Okay.
What commissioner are you talking about, Kate?
Caroline Smith.
Oh, you said commissioner.
You meant supervisor, board of supervisors.
Did I say commissioners? In Las Vegas, Nevada?
No, they're not.
They're called county commissioners. I apologize.
Okay, I just.
Vegas,
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. Don't make fun of my kid, Todd.
Okay. Any other discussion around the letter?
Michelle, do you have comments? Oh, sorry, Alice. Go ahead, Alice.
Okay, I appreciate your doing this letter. I appreciate that. But I think the commission our committee rather appreciates this.
Yes, you do.
And I'm of a hope, and I hope the rest of the committee feels this way, that this gets straightened out on behalf, certainly, of all the committees, this committee. Not that they would only let us do it, but this is one committee for sure. We should have the ability to zoom in and vote.
Thank you very much. I think it's important to, I thought it was important that we cite the lawsuit, because my understanding after having discussed this with some folks statewide is that this is, we are not the only jurisdiction that has been approached to file litigation. And so I felt like it was important for us to cite the Berkeley lawsuit, since it's actually been filed and it's active, if they wanted to do any type of case law review. I'm not sure what the result of that lawsuit will be, but given that this is a federal act and this is a state law, I know the act preempts the state law, so I'm guessing that they'll probably have to come to compliance at some point. They just weren't prepared. I'm certain that these restrictions, because the Brown Act is so old, can be amended with the proper level of support from various jurisdictions. And Carolyn felt the same way. Do I need to make a motion for approval with the addition of Carolyn's title?
We have Rakina who has joined us. Rakina, we have several guests on. Would you like to introduce yourself before we move forward?
Hi, I'm Rakina Kamei. I am the member at large for this body.
We had a chance to read this letter. Is there any other discussion? You want to make a motion?
Sure. I move for approval for the letter that I wrote.
Second.
As amended, correct?
As
As amended. Any further discussion?
What exactly are we writing with the amendment related to the lawsuit?
We're actually just adding Carolyn's title of Director of Economic Development and Government Affairs.
Oh, okay, that amendment. Okay.
If there's no further discussion, we'd like to vote. All those in favor of sending this letter as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Motion passes.
And the next item on the agenda is the committee appointment for the at-large position. So we do have some individuals that, and let me first state that the current at-large member is Rakina Kamai Boyd, and has done a wonderful job of really providing input, and has served in a couple of different seats. And actually, we have a certificate of appreciation for Rakina. Unfortunately, the chair isn't available to sign it, but would you like to read, Vice Chair, just to read the certificate?
Certificate of appreciation. This certificate is awarded to Rakina Boyd Kamei for your continued commitment, dedication, and contributions to the County of San Diego Committee for Persons with Disabilities. Seat 4, seat 11 at large. Thank you.
Thank you all. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve, especially with this current committee. Thank you.
And then we have there were 4 applicants that were on file, that had filed in the past 12 months. The other applicants that were on file roll off after a year of of their application being on, but there were 4 that had, in the past 12 months, made application to serve on the committee. And we have some of those on the call, I think Susan as well as, and then here in person is William. So I did not print off the applications again, so hopefully you all have those. But did the committee want to hear from the applicants that are in person or that are present today, Susan and Bill? We did have 2 others that were Letty and what's the other name? I think Anne. But I don't have the details.
The applications in front of me, and I have 1 applicant from District 3, and it looks like 3 applicants from District 4. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Caitlin, do you know which district you're representing?
I think District 4, I believe.
You're 4, okay. Do we have the District 3 representative on the Zoom call?
Sue, are you District 3 or District 4?
I'm District 3.
District 3, okay.
So I wanted to say I have not seen anything about any of these people, but particularly I don't know that it's a fair thing to make a decision when the other 2 people are not a part of this mix. So I'm happy to hear from the ones that are here, but I think that an effort, I mean, I wasn't given information to reach out to them, and I do think that it would be unfair to make a decision without including them.
All 4 were invited to attend today's meeting, but it wasn't deemed that attendance would be a requirement for them to be considered. But 3 of the 4 stated that they would attend either in person or virtually.
So I have no information. As the chair, I have no information about these applicants. So I just am not comfortable voting on something. I mean, I thought we were gonna meet them and have a chance, but not, I don't know anything about them, and especially the ones that are not here. So we can proceed with hearing from the ones that are here, but I think would not behoove us to pick someone when the other people and the chair has not been given information about them.
And I have a question. Do we have vacancies in District 3 and District 4? And if so, how many?
There are no vacancies in District 3. But we have 2 vacancies for District 4.
And so we aren't selecting someone, that would be done by the District 4 supervisor, correct?
You can select anyone
For
that has
at-large.
applied for at-large.
Correct.
And that is a 2-year position.
Do we know if, because these applicants were given to us, I believe not last month, but the month before, and I've had plenty of time to review them. Do we know if any of them have been officially appointed since first?
We know that none of them have
None of
been
them have been.
officially.
Okay, thank you.
So
Sure.
is it been common practice that those who are applying come to a meeting before the vote to meet everybody? And that did not happen.
I never did.
I
We
never
requested it. I did.
If you remember correctly, we requested that because we weren't given the names on the applications, and we
That's right.
said that we wanted to be able to meet the individuals, which I'm assuming is why they were all invited to the meeting.
Do we know, I would also like to add, I'm sorry, that in the past, people have come to the meetings even sometimes prior to submitting an application, because they wanted to come and kind of see how things run and get an understanding of it.
Right.
So I think that because that has been past practice, that's kind of more what we're accustomed to. Now, when the county supervisors appoint, we might not meet those, sometimes we don't meet them because that's at the supervisor's discretion.
Thank you.
Not that this matters entirely, but my journey was that I wanted to get involved in something where I could use my voice in the disability community, and for disability related stuff. At that time, I didn't even know what I was looking for, except that I wanted to be involved, and I came on the meeting as a guest and came several times as a guest, and then the chair at the time asked me if I would apply, so I applied to the board of supervisor in my district and went through that process and ended up appointed. So that's just my journey as an example of something that is possible. I don't think, of course, it's the only way those things can be done.
So it sounds like there have been a variety of ways that this is happened, so there's no one must be
Especially for at large.
for at large. Okay.
Do we know if any of the people in front of us did apply through the board of supervisors?
That is how they apply. Is you all apply through the clerk of the board.
Okay.
And then at large positions can be selected from those individuals. You can't select someone that has not applied.
Understood. I guess what I meant was, have any supervisors chosen those applicants as their appointee?
These individuals are still awaiting a decision from a supervisor.
So our task is to pick the at-large person.
Yes.
So we don't make recommendations to the supervisor
No,
on who to, okay.
no,
Are there
this is for the at-large position.
Are there any other applicants that are being reviewed by any individual supervisors that are not in front of us right now?
There are no others that have been provided to me when I requested all the applicants for the Committee for Persons with Disabilities. The 4 applications that I received 3, and there was one that had been allocated to another committee, but wanted to be on the Committee for Persons with Disabilities.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have another question, and this might further complicate things. So the at-large position, as we learned last meeting, has different limitations, right? So especially like for a District 4, where there are openings, are we cutting a person off by we take them as an at-large? And then that means they don't have an opportunity to be selected by the supervisor, so now they're getting a short term.
2-year term as opposed to a 4-year term.
So I'm just wondering, and I don't wanna waste anybody's time or make this process any more difficult, but I'm just wondering, would it be more advantageous to them to have an opportunity, and now with a new supervisor for District 4, it might be more beneficial for them to get an appointment from the supervisor than to be an at-large. I just want to put that.
I think that is such a great point, as we learned the hard way by what happened with you. Yes, so thank you for the foresight on that.
How many at-large positions are there?
There's one.
Just one there's only one.
There's only one.
So we have 3 or 4 people who've applied.
4 people that have applied
For the at-large. Oh.
they applied for the committee. And they happen to be in, now, there's no requirement for living in the district that you are appointed to.
It seems to me that unless somebody knows they want to serve a limited term, we should be doing an absolute best aggressive advocacy with our supervisors to get the seats filled at the supervisor level. I know that I would love to have both of these individuals on our committee for as long as possible. So I would like to see us pushing our supervisors to fill the seats for the long term and choosing the at-large position, either with somebody who knows they want to serve a limited term or as the last position that we fill, knowing it's going to be limited.
As a point, the person would be serving the remainder of this new supervisor's term once the new supervisor appoints them.
Because they're mid, so it actually would be better to do an at-large appointment for longevity.
No, Kay, that's not accurate. This term for this supervisor is 3 years, a little over 3 years. Because that's what was left on Nathan's term.
Oh, I see. So it's the opposite.
Yes.
Can you just clarify what you said one more time? That was all new.
Okay, so this new supervisor is serving the remainder of the term till January 2027. Now, the new supervisor has not made any appointments. And it may take a while before that supervisor makes an appointment for the Committee for Persons with Disabilities. So it's not, there's a lot of things that are not in the control of this committee.
8 months, I think, after my supervisor was elected.
That information, it took mine several months. Given
So
that.
I can tell you that I've had this conversation with the supervisor-elect, and her intention is to fill them rapidly. So that I don't think that applies in this particular situation.
Todd, would you be willing, please, just to clarify which districts have how many seats open? Sorry to be.
5 has 1. 4 has 2. And now District 1 has 2 openings.
D5 has 1 opening, D4 has 2 openings, and D1 has 2 openings.
Yes.
Plus the at-large position.
That's right.
And we have applications for 3 District 4 and 1 District 3.
3 District 4 and 1 District 3, yes.
So that would mean that the D3 applicant could only become a part of this committee, by being the at-large, because we don't have a D3 opening.
Right.
Any supervisor can appoint someone outside of
their district. Thank you.
Okay, another question.
Mhm.
So it is for the elected officials' term. What happens when they become reelected? Do those appointments go away or do they stay on?
They have the ability to be reappointed.
For 2 terms, right? So
Yes.
for
Which would not be the case if you're an at-large.
If you're at large, your 2 years would be up. And then you could be appointed by a supervisor.
And then is there a limit to how many times you can be appointed
2 terms.
forever, for a lifetime?
No, actually, you can move away and then be reappointed after.
So theoretically, you could do an at-large, a supervisor's first term, a supervisor's second term.
No, that would
You
be
can only do 1 supervisor's
terms.
term following an at-large,
2 consecutive terms.
meaning regardless of what kind of term they are. Okay.
So if I were appointed, I believe I was appointed in the last year of Supervisor Diane Jacobs' term and then reappointed by Supervisor Anderson. And effectively that would be considered 2 terms.
Yes.
Okay, so my term will be up then in another year. Interesting, okay.
Yes.
So we have the ability by bringing somebody on board as the at-large, we can dictate the timing of that, if you will, as opposed to waiting for or having however long it takes for a supervisor. So one of these applicants we could put into an at-large position. And then however long it takes for the rest of them, right?
Yes.
I do have a couple of questions, not even a question, but a statement. I mean, given the letter that we had written, that we are writing, and hopefully the supervisors will forward to the legislature at some point. We are required basically to attend these meetings in person for the time being. And so for our applicants, that should be a very heavily weighted consideration. And they should be given that information up front prior to applying, and knowing that if they don't attend, as small as this committee is, then we won't have quorum and we can't proceed with our business dealings. And so it's imperative at this point that the applicants understand that they have to attend the meetings in person. And then I would want to know if they were still interested in an at-large appointment.
Yeah, that is so critical. I appreciate you saying it. I am also just gonna reiterate, it looks like Desmond, Steph, and Anderson are the three supervisors we would need to take an action. I feel confident that I can get through to Desmond and inspire momentum. I know that Michelle is very connected to Steph, and two of our members are connected to Anderson. So I'm just gonna throw out there, I still think that we should be aggressively pursuing filling the vacancy at the supervisor level, regardless of what we do with the at-large.
Well, I would like to proceed in filling the at-large position today if we can. But also, if that's the decision, if that's what we're going to do, ask the applicants if they're still interested in the appointment.
I would agree, Kate, that just so that everyone, if you're coming in, you come in with a clear understanding of, you know, limits, and as well as the attendance requirements, because that has presented itself as an issue. I mean, I guess all things presented themselves as issues, but it's kind of difficult to come on and then run into the stumbling blocks that if you had known them previously, maybe you would have made a different decision, but just want to make sure that people have all the information when they make their choices.
Sue, without putting you on the spot, but I suppose it puts you on the spot. Do you have any thoughts or statements regarding in-person attendance?
Thank you, Todd. Well, Todd was very clear in his email to me, at least I read it, that because when I attended this committee previously, I believe was around maybe July, it was all remote, really. And obviously everyone has gotten comfortable with that. I use a wheelchair. And so traveling and getting into a parking garage, because all the information was in Todd's email, I responded to Todd immediately and said, is there a requirement to enter that garage where there's a gate and you have to push a button and get a ticket out? Because those are really impossible for me. Due to my hand disability as well, I have rheumatoid arthritis since the age of 6. So a lot of deformity, and he indicated there'd be staff there, and he did not think there was did not believe there was a gate. So that helped me. So I've thought this out, because it's a drive from Rancho Bernardo, obviously, and a big commitment. And as an observer, I appreciate this conversation because the truth is, I really would hate to come to frequent meetings, and I saw that in some of the minutes over the past, just glancing through, that there was no quorum. I'm also concerned about my time and doing effective things. Life is short, and I believe we should be up and doing. So my participation, I take it seriously. I've been on a number of boards and commissions over my lifetime, and I hope that we could accomplish things, have quorums, meet in person. And of course, there's always barriers and difficulties, and there should be exceptions. And certainly this is not the only group. When I was on the State Independent Living Council for California, I've not been on for several years now. We were discussing that then, because we had to travel to Sacramento and other places statewide, and a huge commitment for people with disabilities. So I'm still interested, and I've thought about it seriously.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you. Yeah, I can say very clearly that I would not want Sue to be our at-large member. I would want her to have the longest term. I think the opportunity to have a prior ADA director from the city of San Diego is probably one of the most crucial voices we could have at the table and skill sets, because I mean, the core of everything that we've done this past year with public safety revolves around the reasonable modification, the reasonable accommodation process. And as I do my little short speech about disability rights and behavioral health, it's the same thing. It's the ADA coordinator role. It's the ADA reasonable modification process that is really at the heart of getting disability justice. And I just think we would be incredibly well served to maximize her commitment and her role. And so, I mean, I would be very happy to bring her to Jim Desmond.
I would agree, and I'm wondering how.
We have to hear from Bill before we open that discussion up.
Well, I'm just saying, because part of what we were talking about in the sense of full disclosure was, what are their preferences as far as, would they prefer to wait for an appointment, or would they prefer to be at large, which might be a shorter term?
Well, so let me just speak to that, and then I will certainly let everyone in your process go on. But I was one of 2 or maybe 3 at the end for Supervisor Lawson Reamer, because one of her staff contacted me and asked if I would be available for a video meeting, I believe it was. And I said yes. It was a fairly short notice, but I could, and I said yes, I could, and I did not get selected. So that's why you have the application, and that's why Todd reached out for the at-large, I believe. But I was up for it, and Lawson Reamer selected someone else, and great. And so that's my understanding anyway. So I don't need to wait anymore, and I'm old. I don't need to wait anymore.
So you're happy with the 2-year?
I think 2 years is fine. You know, I think it's good to have change in leadership. I support term limits very much. And I'll mute now, and you can go to other people.
If I'm correct, Susan, did you come and introduce yourself at one of our meetings? I mean, not in person, but over the phone or on Zoom?
Yeah, I introduced myself and
yes,
my little shtick real quick, just like I did today.
Yes, I very much remember you, and I remember being just as impressed with you then as I am now. Thank you so much.
You're very kind. Thank you.
And then we'll have Bill. Bill, if you'd like to state from a discussion of your points on the in-person meeting.
Like, I mean, how I became aware of this was I was in Highway and I spoke with Joe Anderson about this community. His staff put me in touch with me and district staff. I have conversations with his staff and then everything hit the fan with him. And then I didn't hear nothing at all until Todd was out last Thursday. So I wasn't even aware that this was, you know.
So are you at Villa Grenada or?
No,
But you live in.
I volunteer for disabilities here.
Oh, got it, okay.
Cause my nephew had autism and my sister got sick. And I raised him, and then he passed away, she passed away, and then he went to live with his dad. So I have a good background in autism and intellectual disabilities. So when I moved here, I wanted to volunteer, so I volunteered at Village of Year. I made friends with Hunter, Christian, the evenings. He got me out going to all these games. I met Joe put me in technician. I took the Nathan staff, and then everything happened with him. And then there was no contact until last Thursday.
So do you actually live in Poway then?
No, I live a mile away.
Right.
So coming here is not an issue.
Right.
Like I drive, I can do everything. I live by myself. That's not an issue. I think I tell you it's gonna be the full year in the at large. I tell you it's gonna be more. Than that my routine.
So you would be okay then waiting for the appointment?
Yeah, please. I don't really get to talk to anybody about how this community works and what it does. We will end that process and then everything hit the fan and there was nobody to really contact. So I'm sure when the election happened, I would be moved to the new supervisor.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't.
Thank you, that's very graceful.
Yeah, and also, I mean, you're not obligated to that supervisor. Any supervisor that's motivated to fill a seat could choose you if you applied to that district, so. I mean, I think you make an incredible addition, can't speak for everyone else, but you've got my attention, and I would be happy to advocate very aggressively with our supervisors for you to be appointed.
I wonder if we should reach out to Nora since she has two vacancies and she'd consider the appointment.
I think we should reach out to all three.
All three of them. Okay,
Thank you, Bill.
thank you.
Thank you, Bill, and I would call you William, because it's my son's name, and I say, that's the name of a son whose mother loves him is William. But I also want to thank Todd to reaching out to the applicants. Because I think it was really helpful that we were able to bring these and to meet Mr. Lee.
There is also an iPhone that has dialed in. Is that, would you introduce yourself? iPhone 23 3262? I don't know if that is the third person, the third applicant, that may have. Well, we'll move on. So we're at the at-large position.
Do we have a motion for the at-large position?
Oh, okay, that was Lieutenant Cole on the, thank you, Lieutenant Cole.
I motion that we move forward to vote in Susan Madison for the at-large position.
I'll second that. I second that.
Any discussion? Shall we have a vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Michelle?
Michelle?
I'm abstaining.
I'd like to ask for a point of discussion.
Okay.
So I would, going back to what Jessica was saying, I think that we should really advocate for William to be appointed as quickly as possible. My preference would be for the new supervisor for District 4, my step, but any supervisor, I guess will do. But Steph would be my preference because that is your district, also because she has 3 more years and then can be reappointed or can be reelected, and then you would stay on, which would give you, I believe, the longest possible term. And I think that that would be really advantageous to the group, so that is what I would recommend you do.
William, what is your last name?
My dad's name is
You give us the
It's
spelling.
BOLKMANN, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. I agree, Rakina, we should reach out to Monica and ask her to make the appointment.
Then, based on the vote, what staff will be putting together the recommendation from the CAO for it to be docketed for the next Board of Supervisor meeting to accept Susan Madison as the at-large position on the Committee for Persons with Disabilities.
So just for point of clarification, because I wanna make sure that I fulfill my duties. Is this my last meeting or should I be at the next meeting to make sure we have done our proper handoff?
We'd like to have you at the next meeting.
And you can always come.
And
as
I'll
a
have to
guest.
update your, yes, that's the other thing,
Come as a
is that
guest.
you're always welcome to continue to participate. And whether in person or via teleconference.
Yes, I can participate via Zoom, I just didn't want to drop you guys like an
Oh, yes, you do.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. That's an honor and I appreciate that. And so Todd, I should wait to hear or assume I'm coming in December, or?
You'll be hearing from me. I'll make sure that we do not drop the ball with you.
That'd be nice. I like to plan ahead. Thank you very much.
I think it's December 15 is the next meet. Is it the
December
15,
5th.
20?
It's December 5th, so I don't know, but we'll make it for December 5th.
Oh, okay, yes, for the next board meeting, but for the next committee meeting,
It's the
Well,
20th, I think.
it's the 20th, December 20th.
Yeah.
5 days before Christmas,
And
4
then
days
And they're 3 to 5 PM, is that what it is?
Yes.
As of now,
Yeah, we do have on the agenda committee date and time. And so we, thus far, it's the third Wednesday, 3 to 5 in room 302 at the County Administrative Center.
That's December
Yeah,
20.
you have it on your, including parking and transit, so thank you.
Thank you.
See you then.
All right. You can continue to stay on. The next item is committee structure, District 1. So we did get that letter drafted that formally notifies the Supervisor Vargas, Chair Vargas, of the vacancy in seat 1. So that has been drafted. And Michelle, we currently have your name as the chair on the letter. We could have the letter be from vice chair on your behalf so that we can go ahead and
I
draft,
just
get
sign
that.
it and on behalf of, does that work?
I have already directly spoken with the supervisor, but why don't you send it to me and I will get it hand delivered to her.
Yeah, Michelle, feel free to call me anytime. I'll be happy to read anything.
I've read the letter to her.
Okay.
I think she's saying to send the letter. Michelle, are you saying to send the letter to you?
Yes, and then I will get it hand delivered to her.
How would you like the letter sent to you?
By mail, post office.
This one.
And then, because one of the concerns is whether you will be able to get it.
I
And-
will, you tell me when you've sent it. If you send it today, I will know, roughly when it will be coming. And I will be able to get it.
Did I make a mistake and say D1 was Anderson when in fact it's Vargas?
Vargas.
Thank you.
You're done. No.
This letter is dated November 15th. And so we expected mail in, assuming in a timely manner, or do we need to change the date on it?
Well,
I
today,
think it's fine. The date is fine.
Okay, so I just wanna make sure I'm understanding, we're gonna mail this to Michelle's house. She's gonna sign it and deliver it to the supervisor directly.
Yes.
okay. And then as well, we still have, so now we have 2 vacancies in District 1. The next item is a focus group on the housing blueprint. That focus group is scheduled for November the 17th. I sent out the invitation. They explicitly requested that the Committee for Persons with Disabilities participate in this focus group. If you need to have the invitation and instructions resent, I can do that. But they did request a sign up, a registration.
It's on Zoom. I'm scheduled to go.
I'm sorry. What was the 17th, did you say?
November 17th.
What time?
Noon to 1 on Zoom.
Yes, could you please resend?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I should be able to attend that.
And I appreciate them specifically inviting us. I want to remind everybody that they did not have, they at that time had not prioritized accessibility, only affordability. Is that correct, Michelle?
Yes, that's accurate.
The next item is disability rights in behavioral health services. Committee member Kramer.
Thank you. How's my volume? Okay, I'd like to keep this short and sweet. The long story short is that about 6 months ago, a colleague of mine who's very active in behavioral health services asked me to join in as a what do we call it when people just come on? Or guest, thank you.
Participant.
Yes, thank you so much, Michelle. As a guest or participant to the Behavioral Health Advisory Board meetings, they are one of the boards, committees, and commissions of the county that weighs in very impactful ways on our behavioral health services department. Fast forward to this last month, I was officially appointed in October by Tara Lawson-Reamer to represent D3 at the Behavioral Health Advisory Board, and where I'm really focusing my efforts is on disability rights and disability accommodation in behavioral health services. My journey personally and professionally has, by professionally I mean using my lived experience to advocate for the disability community, has shown me is that there is not a robust internal practice by which individuals, clients of these services can engage in what we know is to be the ADA reasonable modification or reasonable accommodation process. Just to reiterate, that process is when a person with a physical or mental impairment that limits one area of their daily activities asks for what's called a reasonable accommodation or reasonable modification. I'm just going to call it a reasonable modification moving forward. And somebody at the organization who will be able to receive that ADA reasonable modification, process it for reasonableness, and then come up with effective alternatives, modifications to the standard policies, practices, and procedures, so that that person can fully, safely, and in a dignified manner participate in whatever program and service is being offered. What I've come to become familiar with is just a real lacking of the infrastructure in our county contracted behavioral health providers, our county contractors, the people that partner with the county in order to provide these services to the community, which of course includes community members with disabilities. And even though the contracts do mandate these third-party contractors, these organizations that provide services, to be compliant in local, state, and federal disability laws, there is real lacking of guidance in those contracts for what it means. There's also a lacking in accountability. And like I said, just a lacking of the ADA coordinator role in these third-party contractors' day-to-day business. So and feel free, any of you, to call any county contracted behavioral health service provider and say that you are either calling on behalf of yourself, calling just to understand, but that you want to know how to make an ADA reasonable modification request to be able to fully participate in the program or service regardless of the disability limitation. Most people have no idea what you're talking about. I called every county substance use recovery, detox, and several of our third-party crisis and psychiatric hospital units, and it's the ability of those organizations to engage in what is the ADA reasonable modification process is lacking because they just don't have the staff person, or they don't have somebody who's assigned the role of ADA coordinator duties, and they just do not know how to engage. Most, if not all, of the behavior substance use recovery and detox contractors did not allow service animals. The mobile crisis response teams that are associated as an alternative to a law enforcement response are not they have no process by which the service animal is transported or recovered. They utilize the Humane Society in that process. Service animals are not allowed in, like I said, the detox and crisis. They're not allowed in the psychiatric hospitals, and there's no conversation being had around that. And so really, I think that there is just tremendous value in us being engaged in the Behavioral Health Advisory Board. I'm not sure what that looks like moving forward. I don't even necessarily have a suggestion other than one of us trying to prioritize, besides myself, because I'm on the big board, but if any of you guys become interested or engaged in this as, you know, as passionately as I am, you could always join on as a guest for the Behavioral Health Advisory Board meeting. Any people who are on this committee could also apply if that's something of interest. I would be happy to be a liaison and just share some hot topics, or, you know, basically liaison what happened at the BHAB meeting here and vice versa to BHAB. But to the best of my knowledge, I'm the first disability rights voice in the Behavioral Health Advisory Board. And I would like for us to consider in our strategic priorities for next year, looking at, as part of our public safety commitment, the alternatives to incarceration pathways and the mobile crisis and psychiatric emergency response teams that are associated with law enforcement. And just really using our understanding of the ADA process to help behavioral health, help change behavioral health services to be more disability accessible. And I want to end with, everybody knows, I mean, pretty much everybody socially and culturally speaking understands what a physical disability accommodation is. Like, I could ask anybody, what is a typical accommodation for a person with a physical disability? And you'll hear things right off the bat: parking, wheelchair accessibility, deaf interpreter services, sign language, large print, paper formats. But if you ask somebody, what is a traditional accommodation for a person with a mental disability, it takes a long time to evoke a response. So I just want to ask us, and I'd like to bring this forth for the next meeting, and please guide me if I need to make a motion for an agenda item, but I would like to carry this forth to our next meeting, ask each of us here to process what we think is one or two examples of a ADA reasonable modification for a person with a mental disability. And so that we can continue to build some best practices and standards around what those accommodations might be like. And then, you know, maybe someday we can bring that to different county contractors and help them identify and work with their own clients to help people figure out what is their disability limitation, what is the accommodation that's reasonable that they need, and just really help grow the mental ADA process. Thank you so much.
Congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you, Kay.
Any actions that you thank you for sharing that background and that perspective. I think your call to action was to add the members to look at resources on what might be potential accommodations or modifications that people with certain needs might be. Now, as an ADA Title II coordinator, I use some resources that are, and I'll share them. It's Ask Jan. It's a job accommodation network, but it's around employment, but it gives a variety of different accommodations that you might have for an employee, but that would also apply to individuals that are not employed. So whether it's light sensitivity or sound sensitivity, headphones or what have you. So I'll share that as a resource as well. And then there's another tool that's done through the spinal something or the other, United Spinal Association, I think it is. But they actually have needs, a list of different needs that different people may have based on a condition that they have. So, but truthfully, to your point, as an ADA coordinator, we actually, and it's unfortunate to an extent, but we actually look to the individual and we ask them, what are the needs that you have, not just anticipating because you have this condition that you must have these needs.
Right.
But really, it does put the onus on the individual to provide what are their needs, what would address their, and then we enter into an interactive process that says, well, we can't give you that because that's costing $10,000 and you just need to complete this application here. But we can give you this, would that work, et cetera. So we get involved in that type of interaction. But I think the call to action for the committee members is to everybody think about what types of accommodations that they may have come in contact with for different types of, but I'll send those documents and you can look at those.
Yeah, yes, you are literally what I see as the shining star of an ADA coordinator. I mean, you are the perfect role model and you are exactly the.
I wouldn't go that far, but I appreciate this.
Well, listen, your skill set is very impressive. And it is on the onus of the individual. That's why I think it's great. You're gonna provide some examples through employment, which is a very active and robust part of disability rights, so that we can begin to, really, I think, I guess my call to action is to ask you guys, and feel free to tell the truth, but is it okay if we move this forward by allowing me to have a spot on the agenda for about 10 minutes to give updates on the disability behavioral health connection?
Absolutely.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I was actually going to, under item 12, ask if we could, at our next meeting, discuss our 2024 priorities. And so I like that you've already planted the seed on the invisible disability front. I can see that there's a lot of work in that area that needs to be done, but kudos to you for being the advocate that you are. And I would love to have you brief us every month on what the BHAV is doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to provide a recommendation, although I know I won't be here in any official capacity, but although 2 minutes doesn't sound like long, you might want to consider making it a little bit briefer, because we have had numerous meetings that went over time.
Yes,
just
fair
about
enough. I'm happy to do it in 5. Absolutely.
Could I get a motion just for that so we can have it?
Sure. I move that we allow Jessica, who sits on the dual committee for the county, to do a 5-minute briefing as a monthly standing item on our agenda.
I second.
I'll second.
Michelle.
Okay, properly moved and seconded. Go ahead with the.
All in favor?
Aye.
Michelle, did I hear you?
Yeah,
Oh. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you all. Thank you for that. And thank you, Jessica. Next on the agenda is the committee date and time. I know that has come up. Is there a need for this at this point? I know that as we get more appointees, the new appointees to the committee, we'll probably put this on the committee again. Is there any discussion around committee date and time for our current schedule?
Committee day, the day that we have committee meetings, I personally would love to see us move this to an earlier time of the day. People, I don't want to, well, I'm not the only one that comes from North County, but going home at 5 o'clock is about as bad as it could get. But in addition, I just think an earlier meeting would be a better meeting. At least I think so, I hope so.
Discussion on that.
I agree, I think the Wednesdays have worked well for us. But especially as it's dark now, as we get towards 5 o'clock, it would be, I think, like 2 o'clock or 1:30, something like that.
10 to 1. Or 11 to, 11 to 1, or.
Well, I'm hitting the morning a little bit before noon also.
The problem with that is it cuts out anybody that is working a regular job. And and I mean, it's like so many things that people don't get to participate in because they're held at banker's hours. I mean, it doesn't affect me, but it definitely has affected people on the committee. Obviously, we would never have had Rakina on, and I don't think that we'll get, it's challenging for other people. I would like to see us keep it. I think 3 o'clock is early as it is. I mean, it was an issue for Jose. I know with Candy that it was an issue with her kids. So I don't want to see us do it earlier.
Go ahead.
I understand the issue of more people who are employed. But how is it that 3 o'clock doesn't have that impact? And why is 1 o'clock a greater impact time than 3 o'clock if one is working? Once a month,
I feel that the travel time coming from Ramona to this building is so much worse for me, leaving here at 5 o'clock at night. And I can tell you that there have been many times where I have been in my car for well over an hour. And the commute should just not take that long. So I feel that the earlier we leave, the easier it will be for those of us that have to travel long distances. I don't know that the time we start is gonna make that much of a difference, but the time we adjourn will make a huge difference in my commute, at least.
Maybe that is a good thought, like to consider maybe shortening the meeting a bit. And so again, I won't be here to feel the impacts of whatever decision is made, but and I can tell you what the difference is between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock, because I work where I have I have some flexibility in my schedule, but my boss, which I'm paid by tax dollars, wants to see me work a full day. And so it's hard to make a full day if I leave at 1. And I work, my job is with other people, so I can't just say, oh, I'm gonna do all my work at night because I'm expected to interface with others. And honestly, I've heard from so many people when I talk to different groups about like people being active in their community and joining boards and commissions. The first thing people say is, that's for people who don't have jobs. I can't do that because I have to work. That's, in fact, a lot of people also believe that it is for people with money who are rich, because those are the people who can afford not to work. So it does, having it midday really does impact a person's ability to work. And also to the point of maybe shortening the meeting, there might be some people who could even finagle it as like a long lunchtime during their workday, so at least for some people, not everyone. But some people could use it as like, okay, well, I do that as like have a long lunch. But if the meetings are 2 hours and sometimes longer, then that also becomes difficult.
I really appreciate you speaking on behalf of a person that has a regular job. Thank you so much for that. I also want to point out that any decision we make to move the meeting isn't something that we have to be set to. So we could look at moving the meeting to make it easier for the people that are currently comprising the board and then choose to adapt it. If we end up with finding that we can't fill the positions or new people, it doesn't work for them.
I think that's an excellent.
Can we ask our 2 new potentials? And does the time make a difference? Or would it make a difference?
or we're walking with the canned athletes. I mean, you first of all, you walk all your days, maybe off, or walk, come going in you and walk in you, but you keep moving, to go there and then go somewhere else and come back. Cause I have different means.
Right.
You have to be with different companies and stuff. So you kind of
Just depends.
juggle and schedule that would be too difficult.
What about if we did it a little, what if we went later? What if we did 6 to 7 or 5:30 to 7?
That might work better for me.
But what would be better for you, 5 to 7 or 5 to 6:30 if we cut the meeting down to an hour and a half?
Is that even possible?
That's hard for staff.
Actually, the issue is facility,
Oh,
security.
So we can't, not after what hour? 5?
5 is when security.
You're okay with staying till 7?
I have meetings after these meetings anyway, so.
Okay.
But wait a minute, I know there are county employees that work later than 5. So,
Right, but we're county employees and we come in and we have special security, but we don't want to have issues where there are non-employees in the building without security.
so you're saying security leaves at 5 o'clock?
Pretty much.
We start getting charged for parking. That one night I could pay like $45 to get out of the garage. It was ridiculous. Yeah.
So it sounds like at this point, there is third Wednesday at, oh, Sue, did you have
Well, I know this is difficult. I think you need to have. Yeah, well, I'm retired. I would like earlier. I know that commute very well when I work downtown. It's gruesome going north, gruesome, just, and I thought about it when I thought about getting on this committee. I think that the lunch thing, when I staffed the Mayor's Committee on Disability years ago, when I worked there, we ended up with, I think, an hour and a half to do it, but I think the chair or vice chair and everybody actually needs to dog the time. And so you time out items because they can go on forever and you really can keep it to an hour and a half. And honoring people's words and time needed. And I think that the extended lunch thing is not a bad idea. And I think that's what we landed on. So when you leave the meeting, you go back to your job. And we had
So that-
several people who actually, almost everybody on the committee was working. So it was challenging like it is now.
What are the times you're speaking of? Could you give us a time frame? What
I
hours?
would say, well, if you do 11 to 1, maybe. But I
I can just say that would never work for me.
okay.
And more importantly, you're talking about white collar workers. The
Well,
people that I know absolutely don't live close enough or don't work close enough. I was out at the Dairy Mart wastewater plant. You're very much talking about white collar workers who happen to work downtown or in some central area, but that completely leaves people out that have blue collar jobs all over the county.
Okay, well, I think at this point, it sounds like for the next meeting, we'll stick with December 20th for 3 p.m. and then we can continue to have discussion.
Conversation.
Okay.
Um,
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
You know, I'm saying everything's coming.
Go ahead.
I do also, and I know that it will remain an inconvenience for some committee members, but I do think that especially if there's gonna be a big supervisors to appoint people, I almost think it would be better to wait so that we're not changing back and forth, because then we lose people that way.
Well, we've changed this.
I know, so
But-
that's why I don't wanna do it.
And thank you all for that discussion. The only other items here are to remind everyone for mandatory training, and that I have received, I believe, 2 confirmations of completion, but we need to have everyone complete the ethics training. Yeah, because I think, yeah, I've got 2. To complete the ethics training, and then I will be providing more detail on the sexual harassment training. Sexual harassment is a 2-hour state mandatory training, so stay tuned. And then the last item is new business for future agenda items. And I think we did hear that we've got the behavioral health advisory report out. We'll include that.
Do we have election of officers that are due?
We will have election of officers, but the nominations will be in January, with the election in February.
Okay.
And then we'll have, the additional item is 2024 strategic,
Priorities.
priorities.
Could you also send and the focus group on the housing, I'm sorry.
And I'm gonna resend the focus
Thank
group
you.
on the housing blueprint. Other items under new business, future agenda items.
Todd, I just have a quick question. When is the ethics training supposed to be completed?
It is online.
I have the memo, but so is there a timeline for completion?
It will go away December
Oh,
31st.
thank you for that.
So by December 20th, if I can get all of those completion certificates by December 20th, that would be great.
Future agenda items, I know that we very much rushed through the district attorney's response. I would like to highlight that for our next meeting because I don't think everyone here or our new members understand the incredible impact that we have made on senior and disability justice from the perspective of the district attorney's office as well as law enforcement. And I would love for us to re-highlight and celebrate the response from the district attorney, which involved incorporating many of the issues we brought up into training over 2,000 employees. It resulted in guidance being developed on behalf of our suggestion about having a checklist by which basic patrol person or detective or prosecutor in the district attorney's office could qualify a person as a qualified individual with a disability for the special protection and special considerations afforded by the law, certain penal codes and law enforcement practices. And most importantly, the draft of the cover of the 2018 Elder Independent Adult Blueprint. I really want to re-highlight that, and I don't know if they specifically told Todd not to put up on the screen the photos, or if we could get permission to put the old the picture face of the blueprint up next to what is the first draft of the new face of senior and disability victimization. But in my lifetime, changing the face, the literal face. They say that a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. You guys, these pictures are worth more than trillions of words. To change the face of senior and disability victimization, the face to law enforcement and the face to the community of 9 photographs of people that look extremely aged versus a whole host of pictures that show every race, every age, multiple types of visible and invisible disabilities. I just want us to celebrate, and I want us to also show that to the community.
You know, having said that, I feel the same way about the new sheriff and work that the sheriff's department has done. Todd, would it be, I mean, really in the last 2 years, it's like night and day. Would it be appropriate for us to write a letter of appreciation to the district attorney and to the sheriff saying thank you for taking the time and making the investment in these initiatives? We've really seen a lot of progress, and I think it should be recognized formally if we're able to do it.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much, Kay.
Staff would have no issue with you all doing that. I think it would be, Dane, do you see any issue with getting a?
Well, no, of course not.
Then I would like to, I'll volunteer to write those drafts and bring them to the next meeting.
Excellent, thank you.
Are the sheriffs doing any kind of presentation, or are they here to observe our awesomeness?
They're here to observe awesomeness. Dane,
Yes, sir.
would you like to respond to the inquiry? She was wondering, wow, we've got a lot of law enforcement that are participating.
Primarily, we're just here to kind of watch and kind of pay attention to what's going on so that we can offer input as need and also hear what you guys are concerned about. So that's primarily what we're here for right now. I know at some point in time, we'd like to come forward with a committee and definitely present something to you. But we're in the middle of a lot of things going on with our policies and everything else like that, and what our processes are going to be for the sheriff's department for here on out.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I also want to report back that Lieutenant Nathan Rowley, who gave us a wonderful presentation, he has invited all of us to a meeting on 11/30/2023. That's November 30th. 1300 hours, 1 p.m. at the COC large conference room on Overland Avenue in San Diego. And I know I will be there with bells on, and I hope that some of my colleagues and teammates here will join in as well.
If you'll send that to me, I can send it out.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much to the lieutenant and for all of you here for joining. It means so much to me personally and professionally, and I know it means a lot to this committee. Thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you. I will definitely let them know.
Other than that, I think we are ready for adjournment
We
and
are adjourned, 4:45.
record time.
Look at us go.
And thank you, Michelle. Hopefully things go well where you are and we can get you back.
Yeah, I'll be back for next month.
Thanks, Michelle.
Safe
Happy
travels.
Thanksgiving. Everybody.
Bye.
That was the big one.
What are you doing? There's great cooks. I'm gonna cook.
Cooking now.
Is your sister cooking?
No, we're going.